everybody, and welcome back to Coffee with the Consultants. My name is Stephanie Essex.
And I'm Michelle Duss.
And we're social emotional consultants at the Florida Center for Early Childhood. And we're bringing you parenting tips and tricks and the time it takes to have a cup of coffee. So I would like to say to you, Michelle, happy 1-year anniversary of Coffee with the Consultants. Yay, we're so happy. And we thought it would be really fun to kind of just talk about some of our favorite topics from the last year. I guess it would be the last 6 months with you, Michelle, and then Yang was with us before that. So I had to really think because I had like 10 of my favorite topics. And so I had to kind of narrow it down because I love the rules and routines, and I love protective factors. And I love talking about, you know, the caregiving and the routines and everything. So
So many to choose from.
I know there were so many to choose from. So I wanted to focus on transitions because that's one of my favorites. And then also like separation anxiety, I feel like was a really like fun topic. So I think that when it comes to transitions, I think that, you know, having the opportunity to give your child enough time to transition is really important, because kids don't do well when we abruptly ask them to move from one thing to another. So the idea of like setting a timer, maybe even if it's one that's on your phone, or sometimes people have those little sand timers, which is like a visual aid, which can be really helpful. So like giving your child 5 to 10 minutes to transition and making sure that when you tell them that you're transitioning, that we're making really good eye contact and making sure they're hearing our words so that it helps them to move from one activity to the other. And another one of my, you know, favorite things to tell parents if the kids are having trouble with transitioning, that having little like transitional items, like cars are always really popular, and my little dog here, that sometimes if they can take it with them or like put it in their pocket, that helps them, you know, carry it from one place to another. Another thing that's can be really helpful is I always have the handy dandy bubbles, because bubbles are just really fun and it's fun to chase them and like pop bubbles and blow bubbles. And so sometimes that helps kids move from one activity to another, get into the car, go into the store. So having bubbles handy is really important. So just a couple of things in regards to transitioning. Another thing, you know, that I wanted to talk about is kids that struggle with separation. And a lot of that also, you can use these same items, because really transitioning away from, you know, you to say going to school, or, you know, maybe going with another caregiver, you know, can be really hard. So having those transitional items are helpful, or like comfort items. Sometimes people have like little blankies, kids have blankies, or, you know, something special that helps them to move from one person to another or place to another.
Transitional object.
Yeah. And you know, I wanted to mention this because I think that, you know, there are a lot of kids out there that haven't been going to school. They've still been at home. And that can be really difficult with separating from parents after you've been with them for a really long time. And now you have to go back and be at school and be in that routine. So starting to think about these things as we inch closer and closer to the school year is really important. You know me, Michelle, I love books. So I also think that books like Invisible String by Patrice Karst is like a really helpful book about just knowing that even though you're separated, you're still always connected by the invisible string, and there's something comforting in that for kids. I think Kissing Hand's another really good one. Also for the little guys, Owl Babies is good, because, you know, it's reassuring that mommy or daddy always comes back, you know, so even though you're leaving them and they can't see you, you know, they know that you're always going to come back. So these stories are amazing. It helps prepare kids. And I think having a really good ritual when it comes to separating is really helpful, and sticking to that ritual, whether it be 2 hugs and 2 kisses, or a high five, or whatever it is that you and your child choose to do. it kind of helps with that, like, okay, now I know that we're done and it's time for me to transition and continue on and go to school or go with the other caregiver. And so that helps with some of that separation anxiety. So those were some of my favorite things. I don't know, do you want to share a few of yours, Michele?
Yeah, I think those things are great. And like you said, inching back towards, even though school just ended, we're already starting to prepare for our kids to go back to school. And especially after the year that we just had, where some kids spent the entire last 15 to 18 months at home and not in a school setting. So those transitions are going to be even bigger. And I think those are really great points that you shared with us to just remind us and hold on to that as we move forward. For me, I really liked our topics on caregiving and the teen parenting.
Yeah.
It's something that I've worked on with families, but it's also something that's close to me as a parent who also relies on family as caregivers, and the importance of communication with everybody who is considered a primary caregiver with your child, so that we all are on the same page, that we can keep our routines as consistent as possible across the home environments.
Yeah.
Um, there's probably going to be situations where maybe that's not possible, but to the best of your ability, having that communication with your partner, with your grandparents, with your aunts, your uncles, whoever it is that's another primary caregiver with your child, talking about those ahead of time, and on a regular basis. And when there are issues in parenting styles or conflicts in that manner, to not have that discussion in front of the kids, but
Right.
each other outside of that event, so that you have a better way to move forward next time. And although communication is hopefully an ongoing process that's happening across the primary caregivers, um, we highlighted about 3 times a year where it's a really big time to have a come together to say, okay, this is what the next few months are going to look at. And those
Right.
be like the start of the school year, the holiday season, and then the start of summer.
Yeah.
And so everybody kind of knows what those big transitions are going to look like and what the plan is for the kids for the next few months as they approach those transitions. And keeping those routines and those rules as consistent as you can across those home environments can include, the biggest for sure is the safety. We want to make sure everybody has the same safety concerns that we're all thinking about together.
Right.
You know, like you said when we were talking earlier, car seats are not optional. Everybody needs to have a car seat. Those kind of safety
Agreed.
concerns.
Hmm.
But even something as simple as maybe jumping off of furniture at the house, to have that consistent rule in each of the home settings, and other things like bedtime routines.
Yeah.
Maintain those times and those routines the best that you can. Screen time routines, and meal times.
Yeah.
Is it always going to happen? Maybe not always, but being as consistent as you can really gives that structure and that safety to our children that they really thrive on and that they really need and look to us to provide. So I think out of all of that, the biggest thing is that communication between all the primary caregivers ongoing. It's so huge,
Yeah.
to have that.
Absolutely.
I think that's, to me, that's something that is one of my favorite topics that we've discussed in the time that I've been doing this, coffee with the consultants with you. And I look forward to many more in the future.
I know, me too.
But I think, these are all things that go together too. What you were talking about with transitions and the transitional objects. I love that. It's something that I do with my girls. It's something that I suggest to all my families that have challenges with transitions.
Right.
And I think it all goes together very nicely as we're entering summer, but already talking about the new school year. I mean, I just saw sale ads for back to school. I'm like, but it just ended. But
I
all
know.
goes
It goes
together.
by so fast.
It
Yeah.
does. And I think it's great that you can pull all this together, to think about as we approach a new school year where particularly some kids might be going back for the first time in the last 15 to 18 months that they've been home.
Yep, it's a
Mhm.
big deal. So I wanted to bring up something, I think that if we work with our kids to practice a little bit of mindfulness every day, that helps a lot with some of these really big changes and challenges and stressors. And I just wanted to, throw that in at the end here, the importance of mindfulness. And I'd like to say some of my favorite mindful activities. I really like the belly breathing or buddy belly breathing with like a little stuffed animal on the belly, and then the kids lay down and then they breathe and they get to watch the little stuffed animal go up and down. That's one of my favorites. And I also just really love the mindful tapping. I think that is a really simple and wonderful way to give your child an opportunity to really like be in the moment and feel their bodies. And so those are a couple of my favorites. I don't know if you have a couple you would like to share.
Oh, off the top of my head, we do the belly breathing. We use an app where we do a little 5-minute mindfulness and meditation, and I like doing those with the girls, and it's gotten to the point where they've done it on their own.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different resources out there to get little 5-minute and under meditations, and there's books out there too for the breathing that we've used.
Yeah,
I think you
that reminds me. I have my cards.
Yes.
Before the Mindful Kids cards. These are great. They're simple and they're for the young kids. Yep, we both have them. These are excellent from Little Renegades. So if anybody's looking for, quick mindful activities, it has breathing, tapping, movements. I mean, there's everything. So.
And I've recommended this one.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Several of my families, and they've had really great success. So they're quick little breathing that you can do. So
I know, I love the mindfulness activities. It's really fun. And they can be really simple and easy, and it just really benefits the children.
Absolutely. So. And it can help us calm too. And so
I know.
we get together.
Yep. Well, we're so excited. It's been a whole year. We brought so many topics to you, and we look forward to bringing way more tips and tricks in this next upcoming year. And if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, or if you need help with anything, you can send us an email at info@thefloridacenter.org, and we'll be happy to get back to you. And happy 1 year, Michelle. I'm so excited. Yay.
Happy 1 year.
I know. We look forward to seeing everybody again. Take care.
Bye.